So I happen to have the best subscribers on the planet because just recently a subscriber sent me this house from Home Depot, which it ended up being a shed that you could turn into a house. I did a little digging and this particular home is not available right now. They say they're going to get them back in stock. So that got me thinking, how many of these sheds could actually be turned into homes that you could purchase at Home Depot? So today I'm going to be showing you some of the sheds that I ended up seeing at Home Depot that could definitely be turned into a house. And I'm going to show you a few that I found online and give you some tips if you're planning on doing this for your next project, for your next home. Now, if you're deciding to turn a shed into a home, know there are some things that you have to do. If you're not a handy person or you're a complete novice at this, I would not go at it alone. I would definitely go ahead and hire an engineer to help you with this process, or a general contractor that understands how to turn these shells of a home into an actual home. Even though they look so much like a house on the outside, there are so many things that need to be done before they actually turn into something that you can use for permanent living use.
It's only $5,484, and you can even put in some of these tough sheds, you can put radiant barrier. And here in Louisiana, I don't know if you know, but you need radiant barrier. It gets really freaking hot here. It's 10 by 16, and that's like bigger than some apartments in New York City. This is a pretty decent little house. Now, you're gonna have to do a lot of work, of course. Now, the conversion on some of these sheds is gonna take you a lot more than probably what you're thinking. But I am surprised that they do have the radiant barrier that I mentioned earlier. If you take a look at this, like, that is a major expense that normally sheds wouldn't have. I guess maybe it's something here in the South, but these Teff sheds, I've been reading up on them, and they will do all sorts of different things to upgrade your shed. I think more and more people are looking at the idea of building their own homes using sheds as a frame. So if you haven't taken a look yet, just go over to your local Home Depot and see what they have in the lot and see how your imagination can run wild and turn the shed into an actual house. If we're being honest, I mean, this would make a kick butt granny flat. I mean, I wouldn't mind putting my daughter in something like this after it was fixed up, of course. And if you're looking for an affordable housing option, this isn't a bad idea, especially if you're handy. But definitely work with a contractor if you're not handy. Don't go there. I have to tell you, everybody in the parking lot thinks I'm absolutely insane.
All right, not all of us love shopping at Home Depot and going to look at these little houses. So you can actually purchase these online. So I'm going to be sharing a few of these that I found that are under $20,000. Some of them are as low as like just hair over $10,000, and everybody likes a good deal. It really does look like a house, and it even has a little dormer windows, and it's like a little barn. And I'm sure you can change those barn doors on the side and make it into a more like presentable thing for a house, maybe even like a sliding glass door. The one thing I do want to point out with these type of homes is that a lot of times the windows are not double pane. So you're definitely going to want to check into that, especially if you live in a cold or very warm area and they have a lot of drafts. So you're going to probably want to change those out. This one's called the Arlington Best Barns, and it offers spacious interior, a loft area for your storage needs. It features a second floor loft with 4 feet 3 inches headroom, and it provides enough space for sleeping area. So they already know that you're going to be using this for a house. The first floor with its high side walls and has plenty of room for shelving and other versatile storage. It includes a double pocket doors, vinyl shutters, gable window. It accepts a 40-pound snow load. It can handle up to 135 mile per hour wind load. It does specify that you need to check in with your local permitting office. It says it's premium grade construction with 2x4 construction space. All required nails, glue, and hardware are provided. Now, I do know in California they have offered in some areas a ability to have a granny flat in the back. I'm not sure if this would qualify as a granny flat. You're gonna have to check with your local area to see what the laws are and what they require for their granny flats or AUDs. But this is definitely a viable option. And they have this, like, look at this. This is so cute. Hover over to zoom. Oh, look how happy they look. Wait a minute. She doesn't look very happy. The other girl looks happy. This is a really cute little house. I still would turn those barn doors myself into a sliding glass door, but you're not asking me. You didn't ask my opinion. Look at all the headroom you get. It looks amazing. And look, you get a little stairwell. I'd be painting that sucker. Love it. Super cute. Hey, look, you can even use PayPal. But why would you do that when you can get it financed? Because look, you can do $430 a month, suggested payments within 24 months. That would be really good if you needed that. In 2 years, you have the whole thing paid off. Now that you've seen a couple of these homes so far, I know your imagination is running wild. And before you even start to go down that road and start shopping for them, I want you to make a detailed budget of everything that you need beforehand. So what kind of things should you be budgeting for if you're deciding to turn a shed into a home? The first thing you want to budget for is the permits, because if you're going to get a permit for a shed, that is not the same thing as getting a permit for a living dwelling. The second thing you're going to want to do is be honest with the permitting office with your intention of what you're doing with this structure, because some areas, and I hate to tell you this, do not allow for structures that are less than 500 square feet. Every area is going to have a minimum square footage for a home. And if you're putting in some of these sheds, a lot of these are going to be less than 500 square feet, and you're going to have an issue when it comes up later on down the road. The other thing you're doing to budget for is the foundation, because even though that these have a floor at the bottom, you're going to have to put it on some kind of permanent foundation. Another thing too with the flooring on that may not be intended for walking on every single day. So a lot of times you're going to have to re-brace the bottom to make sure that it's secure enough for people to be walking on it for years to come. You're going to have to budget for plumbing and wiring, insulation, and roofing materials to brace the roof a little bit more. You're also going to need to budget for how much it's going to cost you to get electricity out to the piece of property. Some of you are going to be using these homes as an extra home, so it may not cost you that much to have electricity, the line put in from one house to another house. I know a lot of people do that when they're using this as an extra building, like a granny flat. But these are all things that you need to consider when you're doing your budget when it comes to these. Now, there are people and companies that do turn sheds into homes, and you may want to go ahead and hire them, especially if you're a novice at this. Don't go at it alone if you don't know what you're doing, because you could end up with a nightmare. And if you're doing it and you're newly married, it's going to cause a big giant fight between the two of you, I promise you.
This one is a little bit smaller. It's 10 by 12. I would consider this more of like what they call a she shed or man cave. Either way, you could turn this into something that could be certainly livable. Just like anything that you're going to prepare and turn into anything livable, make sure your HOA gives you permission if you're planning on putting it in your own backyard. HOAs are one of those things. Even though you may have an old HOA, doesn't mean there isn't somebody that's sitting there waiting for something like this to happen to turn you in. So just remember, if you're going to do this in your backyard as a permanent living residence, check your HOA first.
Now on Home Depot, there is other homes that you can purchase that are just above the $20,000 mark, but I wanted you to see this one because it was so freaking cute. And it's by HUD, not to be confused with Housing and Urban Development, but HUD Easy Buildings. And it's a 19 by 19 multi-room log cabin DIY building kit. It's very similar to some of the ones that I had shown on previous videos on Amazon. This looks a lot like those, but it has a full floor plan and it gives you a little rundown of it online, and it has a little video here. So let's see what the video shows. Let's see if it actually will play. Well, that just showed the outside. Well, that wasn't very exciting. But here it is all fixed up with the furnishings in it. They really did this bathroom up nice. Now, when you're ordering these from Home Depot, do not think that this is exactly how they come. These people have fixed up these to make them look like this. So after you purchase it, you're going to be putting these kind of finishes in it. This is not what it comes with. Again, you can finance them for 24 months. The payment is going to be a little bit heftier, $990 a month. But then you would have a house in 2 years. That would be so cool. They say that this is a 19 by 19 open floor room. It's a DIY log cabin. The kit offers 305 square feet. It also has a 44 square foot bonus room, or whatever it is needed for. The building itself, it says it is quick and easy to assemble. It comes with French doors, glazed windows. It also includes tongue and groove floorboards and vaulted ceiling and window and door locking hardware. Hey, and everything that you need for it, you could purchase at Home Depot. You could do the whole thing. Nails, roofing materials, brace, wood, everything right there online. The modern world. Wait, this isn't even that modern, because they used to do it with Sears and Roebuck years ago. I make it sound like it's like super cool and trendy, but it's been around for eons. Oh, what do I know? Now let's talk about the piece of land that you're planning on putting your shed home on. You've had it for years, it's been in the family for eons, and you're like, I'm just gonna put it out there and no one's gonna say anything. Well, here is a problem with that. Your piece of land that you've had in the family for years may not actually belong to your family. You're going to need to do a full title search before you ever put any kind of structure on it. Secondly of all, the piece of land that you have that's been in the family for years may not be zoned residential any longer. So you're definitely going to want to check on that as well. Before you put it out on this piece of land, make sure you can get utilities out there. If you can't get utilities out there, that could cause a big issue. Now, one of the coolest things I did see on one of these barn homes I saw on a YouTube video was they couldn't get a full electricity out there. So they were using solar panels to get power out there. And then as far as heating and cooling and cooking, they were using a humongous propane tank in order to be able to have the comfort creatures that we were so used to, first world problems, I guess they say. But the way that they did it was fantastic. So if this is something that you're considering, make sure that you're allowed to have a big propane tank on the property. The last thing I'm going to tell you, if you are thinking about having something called a composting toilet, this could be a problem for your city. Always make sure that you have the proper permits. I know I said it before, but the proper permits for your sewage, because composting toilets in many, many areas is a big giant no-no.
I'm asking this one out of curiosity. It's 8 by 12. Would you make this into a house that you could live in, or would this just be a shed? I don't know. This to me is just getting a little too small.
Holy cow. This one is under $10,000. Who doesn't love a good deal like this? This one is a little bit smaller. It's going to be 12 feet by 20, but it's super, super cute. They even feature this thing as a granny flat. Look at that. They even got the mom right there. Like she's just sitting there picking her flowers. Now, of course, you're going to have to do a lot of things to fix these things up, but it does come with a floor unlike the one that we've seen previously. It does look really small. I don't know if you could really turn this into a full bed unless you had a bed on one side and then you have like a very small kitchenette area. If you're really into tiny home living and you want to live super, super tiny, maybe you could do this. To me, this would be kind of one of those things that you would have as a bedroom outside your house, and then everybody could do their like business inside, like bathroom stuff and kitchen stuff, because it just seems very small. I'd love to see if anybody could really make this into a home. I'm sure there's somebody out there. There's a lot of creative people that turn these sheds into something absolutely amazing that makes my mind blown. This one is called the Colonial Williamsburg. It offers classic beauty to any backyard, made with Amish craftsmanship. Great attention to detail. It includes a side-by-side 30-inch by 36-inch and windows and screens and shutters. Ooh, it comes with screens and shutters. That's pretty good. And this is a weird thing. Customer provides shingles, dipped edge, and paint. Why would the customer provide the shingles? So does it come without a shingled roof? Everything else is pre-cut and labeled for you. No extra cutting. 5 side-by-side functioning 30-inch by 36-inch windows and screens and shutters are included. The floor kit is included with plywood and subfloor framing. I still say this wouldn't necessarily be something you would live in full-time. I could be wrong. It doesn't really look like they have a permanent foundation on this either. They would have a hard time having this zoned because it is so small and it's under 500 square feet. Just FYI if you're considering something like this. Now, a cool thing with all these sheds is that in many cases, you can finance them through Home Depot. And even though that may not be the cheapest way to do it, and it'd be much easier if you had cash, of course, not a lot of people have an extra $20,000, $30,000 laying around, but just know that if you do not pay, they do have repo men that do repo these. Now, if you're looking for a cheaper way to get a shed and turn it into a home, find out who the repo companies are for those sheds. So if someone was to buy a house from Home Depot and they had it repossessed, there is a place that collects these repo sheds. And a good portion of them have already turned into tiny homes or started turning into tiny homes. So you might even have half your project done and you'll get it for less money because it's a repossessed property. This is just something to consider if you're looking for the least expensive way to go ahead and build yourself your own home. Welcome home! All at the Home Depot.
So the name is Home Depot, and since it's Home Depot and they're selling homes, is the tool thing going to be their side gig? Doubt it, but you know.
Now that you've seen all these shed homes by Home Depot, is it something that you would consider for yourself as an affordable housing option? Is it a project you would actually want to tackle? I personally think it would be a great idea for an alternative house, and it's pretty affordable if you know what you're doing as far as setting them up. To watch more videos about affordable homes that I've done in the past, go ahead and watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.